Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Coffee Break. It's Steve Barrett here. I'm the editorial director at PR Week. Delighted to bring you another show. Really interesting topic this week. We've got Samantha Yap with us, who's the founder and CEO of Yap Global, a PR firm specializing in the crypto PR world. So Samantha, really looking forward to chatting to you and finding out more about this space because it has just blown up, hasn't it, over the last year. Welcome to Coffee Break.
Thank you so much for having me. And yes, it has blown up this last few months.
Yeah, so tell us a bit about your firm, because you were kind of already set up as a virtual PR firm, and you are in a bunch of cities around the world, and you've grown really well over the last 12 months, I guess due to the growth in this area. So just give us a bit of a potted history of Yap Global.
Yeah, sure. So we're a 3-year-old agency that started in this niche space in early 2018. And yes, we started global from the beginning. So I'm based in London, but we had team members whenever I was hiring. It didn't matter whether they were in London because our clients are also global. So right now we have a team of around 14 people, but they're scattered across Melbourne, San Francisco, Berlin, Bali. So quite a global agency. And in a sense, the pandemic it hasn't made a huge difference to us because our clients are also, as I said, like scattered across the world, working with clients from Taipei to Spain. So yeah, they're everywhere.
Tell us, give us two or three of your clients and just explain briefly what they do. And, this world is a bit of a mystery to a lot of people, isn't it? There are specialists in the space, but then there are general business coverage. And I guess you have to tailor your approach as a communicator depending on who you're talking to in the media.
Yeah, for sure. So we work with a range of blockchain and cryptocurrency companies from the decentralized finance, and I'll get into that a little bit. So more of the DeFi protocol space to more of the more digital asset services, clients. So one that might be familiar to everyone is Nexo. So they're a crypto lender, and the team is based in Bulgaria, but mainly across Europe as well. And so they enable people to store their idle assets, lend their idle assets, and earn interest on them. So that's Nexo. And then we also have Bitfarms, which is a cryptocurrency mining company. So they're a Bitcoin mining farm.
Because to a numbskull like me, what are we mining here, and how are we going out and digging for coins, or what? Tell me what that means.
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess it starts with understanding Bitcoin, right? So, Bitcoin, for those who don't understand, is a cryptocurrency, a digital currency, and it's only 21 million Bitcoins can ever be mined. And no, mining is not, digging up and finding coins on the ground like it is,
with your metal
for gold.
detector on the beach.
Yeah, not with the metal detector. It's essentially like, and disclaimer here, I'm not going to explain it the best way, but it's basically computer rigs, basically these chips that are breaking down like complex code to basically create the next block in the Bitcoin blockchain. And then these miners, so these machines and these computer rigs, they earn a reward. And that reward at the moment, correct me if I'm wrong, is around 6.25 Bitcoins. And it halves every 4 years, but there's a cycle. So anyway, it's coded in the system. I'm getting too deep here, but that's what Bitcoin mining is, and they're essentially they're farms of them, and they're basically like warehouses of these computer chips, and it's kind of looks like a data center.
And talk to us about, because obviously there's been some publicity about this with Elon Musk. I mean, he's either the best PR person for crypto or the worst, I guess, depending on what side of the bed he gets out of in the morning. But he made a statement, didn't he, the other week, saying he was going to not take Bitcoin anymore for Teslas because of the environmental impact. So talk to us about the environmental issue and how you're explaining that when you're doing coverage for your clients.
That is a good question. And before I touch on that, it's important to zoom out a little bit. So over the last 6 months, we've seen Bitcoin kind of reach all-time high prices. I think the highest was above 60,000 US dollars per Bitcoin, which it's wild, right? Because in 2017, late 2017, Bitcoin price, jumped to 20,000. That was like the all-time high. So it's been huge. And one of the pushes towards that price was earlier this year, Tesla, the public company, buying Bitcoin. And so that also tipped off kind of like, mainstream, I guess, awareness and institutional kind of like, awareness and credibility, and maybe have also, not maybe, but has encouraged more institutional money flows into Bitcoin. So Tesla has contributed actually to the growth and the interest in Bitcoin, and Elon Musk is they're different camps. I'm in PR. I'm going to remain neutral here because he has also been kind of good for PR for Bitcoin.
No,
putting it on his Twitter bio, and then but some would also argue that the Dogecoin discussion was a bit unproductive, but in a sense, altogether, it was bringing an interest into this industry. Now, the Bitcoin energy discussion it's been a discussion from when Bitcoin was created in 2008, 2009. So it's ongoing, and it's more in the spotlight now, I guess, with Tesla trying to make sure that they are sustainable in their energy consumption. Now, the debate is quite polarizing, and there are a lot of views. Everyone's throwing stats around, so you're hearing stories of Bitcoin is consuming the equivalent amount of energy as country X, but at the same time you're getting the crypto and the Bitcoin advocates say, well, everything requires energy. Name me a industry that doesn't. And then lately, recently, Elon just tweeted that he was speaking to some, Bitcoin miners, and is talking about Bitcoin mining using renewable energy. So there's just all sides of this debate. It's ongoing, and I think it will continue to. There's no clear answer and no clear kind of cut response to this.
So from a communications point of view, I guess the industry, the crypto PR industry, needs to come up with a good talking point to say, well, okay, there is an environmental impact, but if you compare it with this industry, for example, or that, say, the traditional coin, production of coins or banknotes or whatever, you need to come up with some talking points and messaging points to get the impact over and put it in context. Would that be fair?
Yes. So we spend a lot of time educating journalists, both the mainstream and traditional financial journalists, but also even just ensuring that the crypto media are presenting, the facts, the stats properly. So one of the ways we actually do this is Yap Global actually underwritten this first. It's called the Association of Cryptocurrency Journalists and Researchers is this industry body that was created this year. And we run these off the record sessions where we invite journalists, not just in crypto, but in the mainstream. So there are these sessions where, we did run a session on Bitcoin and energy and just really breaking it down and trying to present all sides to the story. So a lot of these educational and also just dialogues need to happen as this industry grows and develops.
Because when it gets into the mainstream media, I've seen bits on, the cable TV channels where Dogecoin, for example, everyone's going, is it about dogs? And they've got graphics on screen of dogs barking and things like that. What's the silliest sort of spot you've seen or you've had to navigate as a PR person? And also, how do you explain things or get the messages over to those journalists who really are skating over the surface, aren't they? And they haven't got time to go really deep.
So that's the challenge here, because you're getting more of the mainstream media, write about the hype, and rightly so, because there is a lot of hype around it, and Dogecoin might be what the audience wants to read about. But at the same time, we're very deep in the space where we are working alongside like actual companies that are building real financial tools that are going to transform the future of finance. There was one mainstream journalist, I'm not going to name the publication, but they contacted my team and said, okay, I want to write a piece on how to launch the next Bitcoin. And that narrative is quite, outdated. I mean, Bitcoin is huge, and there's a lot more tokens. Actually, there's this price analysis site called CoinGecko.com. They're one of the leading sites in the space, and you can see there are thousands of coins now. So the narrative to launch the next Bitcoin is, we needed to kind of educate that journalist, pull him out a little bit, and go, okay, the interesting discussion here is about decentralized finance. It's basically changing the way, fintech is one thing, but DeFi is another. And we're starting to see more journalists write about that. So just recently, Wall Street Journal did a story on decentralized exchanges. And that was huge to see, a top financial publication write about, they call it DEXs, decentralized exchanges. And we're starting to see more credibility being built for this industry.
Nothing to do with Dexy's Midnight Runners then, the famous band from my home country. But
probably not.
How do you think the mainstream financial industry is going to be impacted by this? Because maybe they were a little late to catch on, but those big institutions have got to be looking at it. We've seen some of the things that have happened, and that their business is potentially at threat, isn't it? The whole financial system. So how do you think they're reacting?
It's interesting. I think fintech, right, was this big move of like disrupting the banks, and I might make a few enemies by saying this, but fintech seems to be like just fresher UX, like fresher user experience, but there's still banks behind the scenes. And so DeFi, decentralized finance, is essentially they're run by these decentralized autonomous organizations. There's another term for you, DAOs, and they're not owned.
I'm loving the acronyms.
Yeah,
Samantha.
I'm teaching you two today: DeFi and DAOs, and they are run by these. There's no central authority, and so it's kind of flipping the financial industry on its head. And it's not about whether banks are going to pay attention. It's about whether they can keep up, basically. Yeah. And so a lot of education needs to happen, and a lot of that is done through media, and it's done through the work we do with our clients and educating the space about it.
So it's all about really having a currency that's not linked to a particular country, right? It's a global thing that is not country specific, and that's a difficult concept for the financial systems to get their head around, because they've always been based on individual country currencies, haven't they?
Yeah.
Just to finish up, for someone who's or a journalist or someone who wants to go and find out and get the industry explained to them, is there a good website, a good media outlet, or one that really is worth visiting to check it out and get a sort of layperson's guide to crypto and Bitcoin?
Yeah, good question. So I want to kind of paint a picture of the crypto media landscape. So the top tier publications in the crypto world are this publication called The Block Crypto, and then there's CoinDesk.com. Mm-hmm. And then to also stay on top of the new projects and trends, there's Cointelegraph.com. Now, these are quite niche, and it's interesting because what you're seeing is a lot of the crypto stories that maybe break or you read on, like, say, Bloomberg or CNBC, they hit The Block and CoinDesk first. So this is the niche media landscape here in the crypto world, and these are the publications we work with daily. So yeah, I would say those top three.
Yeah, so if you want to get the inside track ahead of the mainstream media, go and check those out. Yeah, Samantha, thanks for demystifying crypto for us, and great to see your company doing well and growing during the pandemic, and look forward to tracking how this plays out over the next few years.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Steve.